Back in August 2016, a Montana rancher checking his cattle in the remote Crazy Mountains stumbled across something that would solve a mystery from 2 years earlier: human remains, scattered across a rocky slope at 7,000 feet elevation. The body had been exposed to 2 brutal Montana winters. The remains belonged to a man named Aaron Hedges, a 38-year-old bow hunter from Bozeman who'd vanished without a trace in September 2014. But here's the twist. When investigators analyzed the scene, they found Aaron's body 15 miles from his last known location. 15 miles through some of the most treacherous terrain in Montana. And here's what made investigators pause. His boots were found in a completely different location from his body, just sitting there, empty. Even stranger, Aaron's last radio transmission to his hunting partners. 2 days before he disappeared, he told them something that would haunt the search teams. "I won't make it back to camp tonight. I'm not sure where I am." For an experienced hunter who knew these mountains like the back of his hand, those words made no sense. It was as if Aaron Hedges had become completely disoriented in terrain he'd hunted for years. The search that followed would become one of the largest in Montana history. 20 dog teams, 59 ground searchers, multiple helicopters, covering hundreds of square miles. They found nothing. September 2014. Early autumn in Montana. The Crazy Mountains, a rugged, isolated range northeast of Bozeman, were entering prime hunting season. The Crazy Mountains aren't like other Montana ranges. They're remote, steep, and they have a reputation. Locals call them the Crazies for a reason. The weather can turn deadly in minutes, the terrain is unforgiving, and people have been disappearing in these mountains for over a century. But none of that bothered Aaron Hedges. He was a 38-year-old construction worker from Bozeman, an experienced bow hunter, a man who spent every September in these mountains pursuing elk. Aaron wasn't a weekend warrior. He'd been hunting the Crazy Mountains for years. He knew the trails. He understood the terrain. He respected the wilderness. On September 3rd, 2014, Aaron headed into the Crazy Mountains with 2 of his closest friends, Greg Leitner and Joe Depew. All 3 were experienced hunters. All 3 knew what they were doing. They set up a base camp about 8 miles into the wilderness, in an area known for elk activity. The plan was simple: bow hunt for elk during the day, return to camp at night. The weather was good: clear skies, cool temperatures, perfect hunting conditions. Aaron was carrying his compound bow, camping gear, a 2-way radio, and survival supplies. He'd done this dozens of times before. For the first few days, everything went according to plan. September 5th, 2014, 2 days into the hunt, Aaron, Greg, and Joe had split up to cover more ground, standard practice for experienced hunters. They stayed in contact via 2-way radios, checking in regularly throughout the day. That afternoon, Aaron radioed his friends. But this time, something was different. He told them he wouldn't be making it back to camp that night. He said he wasn't sure exactly where he was. Greg and Joe were immediately concerned. Aaron knew these mountains. How could he not know where he was? They tried radioing back, asked him to describe landmarks, told him to stay put and they'd come find him. Aaron never responded. As darkness fell, Greg and Joe made a decision. They'd wait until first light, then start searching. That night, they kept trying the radio, calling Aaron's name, hoping for a response. Nothing but static. At first light on September 6th, Greg and Joe began searching. They covered the areas where Aaron had said he'd be hunting. They called his name, looked for tracks, searched for any sign. By midday, when they still hadn't found him, they hiked back out to call for help. What happened next was massive. The Park County Sheriff's Office and Two Bear Air Rescue launched one of the largest search operations in Montana history. 20 dog teams, 59 ground searchers, multiple helicopters with thermal imaging, horse-mounted search teams. They covered over 100 square miles of wilderness, every canyon, every ridge, every possible route Aaron could have taken. The tracking dogs picked up Aaron's scent near the base camp. They followed it for about 2 miles into rough terrain, then the scent trail vanished, just ended, as if Aaron had disappeared into thin air. The search continued for 2 weeks. Volunteers from across Montana joined the effort. Aaron's family arrived, desperately hoping for any sign. On September 20th, after 14 days of intensive searching, the official search was scaled back. Aaron Hedges was gone. 9 months passed. Winter came and buried the crazy mountains under feet of snow. Spring arrived. The snow melted. In June 2015, a man named Roger Beslanowicz was hiking in the crazy mountains when he noticed something unusual. A camouflage backpack, weathered, partially buried under forest debris. Inside the backpack, Aaron Hedges' hunting license. Nearby searchers found Aaron's compound bow, his water bottle, some camping gear. The location was significant. It was about 5 miles from where Aaron's scent trail had ended during the original search. This discovery triggered a renewed search. If his gear was here, Aaron couldn't be far away. Teams focused on the area around where the backpack was found. They searched intensively for weeks. They found nothing. Summer passed. Fall arrived. Then winter again. Another year went by with no answers. August 2016. Nearly 2 years after Aaron disappeared, a local rancher was checking on his cattle in a remote part of the crazy mountains. The area was rugged, steep slopes, loose rock, thick brush. Not a place most people would ever venture. That's when he saw them, human remains. He immediately contacted the Park County Sheriff's Office. Within hours, a recovery team was on site. The location was brutal, at about 7,000 feet elevation, miles from any trail, in an area so remote that even experienced outdoorsmen rarely visited. The remains were positively identified as Aaron Hedges through dental records. But here's what made investigators pause. Aaron's body was found 15 miles from his last known location, half a mile from where his backpack had been discovered the year before. Think about that. In the rugged, crazy mountains at elevation, Aaron had somehow traveled 15 miles from where his scent trail ended. And then there were the boots. Aaron's boots were found in a completely different location from his body. Not with his backpack, not with his remains. Just sitting there, empty, in another part of the wilderness. What would make an experienced hunter remove his boots in September in Montana, where nighttime temperatures drop below freezing? The Park County Sheriff's Office and the Montana State Medical Examiner conducted a thorough investigation. Their official finding: Aaron Hedges died of hypothermia and exposure to the elements. According to their report, Aaron likely became disoriented after his last radio transmission on September 5th. He wandered through the wilderness, eventually succumbing to the cold over the following days. The theory: after telling his friends he didn't know where he was, Aaron tried to navigate back to camp but went in the wrong direction. He became increasingly lost. Exhaustion set in. Hypothermia followed. As for the boots found in a separate location, officials suggested Aaron might have been carrying a second pair. It's common for hunters to pack extra footwear. Sheriff Leo Dutton stated that while the case had unusual elements, he believed Aaron's death was a tragic accident, a reminder of how dangerous the Montana wilderness can be, even for experienced outdoorsmen. The case was officially closed in late 2016, but that official explanation left many questions unanswered. Let's look at what doesn't make sense here. Aaron Hedges had hunted the crazy mountains for years. He knew the terrain, he had a compass, a GPS unit, and a map. The weather on September 5th was clear. Visibility was good. There was no storm, no fog, nothing that would cause sudden disorientation. So how did an experienced hunter with proper equipment suddenly not know where he was? In terrain he'd navigated dozens of times before? Aaron's body was found 15 miles from his last known location. 15 miles through the crazy mountains. That terrain includes steep ridges, dense forest, rocky slopes, and dangerous drop-offs. To cover that distance, Aaron would have had to cross multiple ridges, descend and climb repeatedly, navigate without trails. Do all this while disoriented and hypothermic. Survival experts say a person in the advanced stages of hypothermia, confused, exhausted, losing motor function, simply couldn't cover that kind of distance in that terrain. 20 highly trained tracking dogs from multiple teams all lost Aaron's scent at the same location, about 2 miles from base camp. The handlers said the scent didn't gradually fade. It just stopped, as if Aaron had vanished at that exact spot. There was no rain, no water crossing, no weather event that would eliminate a scent trail. Search and rescue experts say this is extremely unusual. A scent trail doesn't just end on solid ground unless something disrupted it. Aaron's boots were found in a location separate from both his backpack and his body. Now there's a phenomenon called paradoxical undressing, where hypothermia victims remove clothing because they feel hot, but boots in rocky mountain terrain? And if Aaron had a second pair of boots, as officials suggested, why weren't those boots found with his body or in his backpack?